Good morning. We are in England and we're bringing you a substitute class for Sunday. So it'll be a little bit of a shorter version. All you're going to need is your mat and some space at home. And you may want to throw on some music in the background because this video won't have any of this be me speaking. So other than that, that's all you're going to need. Grab your water so it's close and we will get started. So we're going to start on our mat facing the long way of our mat. You can bring your hands to in front of you. You can bring them to your side. We're going to roll our shoulders down and back a couple times just to get set up in a comfortable position. You can close your eyes. You can start to feel the mat under your feet. Try and spread through your toes. We're going to drop our chin to our chest if we can. Get a nice stretch through the back of our neck. And we're going to take our chin and roll it to our left shoulder. And then swoop it back around to your right shoulder. Just a nice slow semicircles here, moving at your own pace, getting some movement through our joints. When you come back through center, you can bring your gaze back up to neutral. Raise your arms all the way overhead, reaching tall through your fingers. You're going to intertwine your fingers at the top and you're going to lean over to your right hand side. So trying to lengthen through the left side of your body. And then reaching up tall again, leaning towards the left side of our body. Back up through center, keep reaching tall. We can let those fingers go, getting into our hinge. So hands fall forward, leaning from the hips, reaching those fingertips towards the ground, reaching the ground if we can. You can add a slight bend into your knees if we're not getting that full hamstring length. Using the ground as support, just start to shift the hips back and forth, side to side. From here, we're going to walk our feet out towards the edges of our mat. So we're in a little bit of a wider stance, bringing those hands towards center. We're going to keep that right hand planted. Left hand's going to lift up and away. Fingers go towards the sky and your gaze goes up towards your fingers. Left hand comes down. Right hand lifts up. We rotate away. Good. You're going to move here at your own pace, a couple rotations. Again, you can keep that bend in your knee. If we're not feeling like we're able to straighten through the backs of the legs. We got one more. Good. We're going to keep those feet a little bit wider, so probably off your mat. Hands are going to stay on the ground, and we're going to get into some lateral shifting. So just moving the hips side to side. Let those knees move in the same direction as your toes. Trying to keep those heels on the ground, but just using the weight of our body to shift our torso. Good. Walk those feet back onto the mat. They can stay on the edges of our mat. We're going to drop our hips down into a squat, keeping your hands on the ground for support if we need to. Hips come down, chest lifts. We're going to look in front of us, and then you're going to push through the ground with your feet. Hips come all the way back up, trying to straighten a little bit more through the backs of our legs. Good. Dropping the hips back down. Try and lift through the chest, and then hips go back up. So play with your feet here. If you need to be a little bit wider, you can. Whatever feels good, just to get some space moving in the hips. We've got one more. Good. When your hips are back up at the top, bring those feet back into center. Hands are going to walk out in front of you. Feet are going to take a step back. We're going to set up for a downward dog. So shift the hips up and back, letting those fingertips wiggle. You can pedal through your feet, so trying to get your heels to touch the ground. Good. From here, we're going to walk our left foot forward into a nice big lunge, letting that back right leg drop. Bring those hands in towards your foot. And we're going to rotate. So lift fingers up towards the sky. Again, watching where our fingers go. Got a couple rotations in each direction. One more per side. Good. Pushing yourselves back up into that high plank position. Hips go all the way up to the sky again. Pedal those feet. Try and touch the ground if we weren't able to before. Sending that right leg to the front of the mat this time. big step up, drop that back leg, hands come inside of your foot, and we're gonna get into those same rotations. Lifting, reaching, looking away through our fingers. I've got one more in each direction. Hands plant back down, one more big step back into our downward dog. Last time to lengthen through this position. Good. We're going to walk our feet in a little bit so we can drop down into our tabletop position. Bring those wrists in under our shoulders. Knees are stacked under our hips. We're going to move into our cat-cow. So you can keep your toes tucked or you can relax them on the mat. We're going to spread our fingers, pushing away from the ground. We're going to try and let those shoulder blades spread apart. So rounding through our upper back. Thinking about a string on our spine pulling us up. We're going to drop our chest, lift our chin. Try and bring those shoulder blades together. So moving through these two directions as much as you can. Good, you got two more. Good, we're gonna lay onto the ground on our back. Okay, we're gonna set up for our first core block. So we're gonna bend our knees, our heels are gonna be in towards our bum. In this position, I want you to think about bringing your belly button towards the ground. So we're gonna drive our low back into the ground. We shouldn't feel that space between our back and the low ground if at all possible. Another kind of visualizing cue, you can think about bringing your bottom ribs closer to the front of your hips. That'll kind of help you keep your core engaged. From here, our first movement is a supine curl. So hands are going to go on the back of the head in a nice gentle little hold position. We're going to set up our core, so belly button towards the ground. We're going to lift our head, neck, and shoulders up off the ground, and our gaze is going to go between our knees. We're going to hold, and then we're going to relax back down onto the mat. Reset your core if you need to. You can reset in between every single rep if you're thinking that that's going to make everything feel a little bit better. As we lift and look down through our knees, we're going to focus on exhaling at the top, and then inhale as you bring your head back down, giving your lungs a little bit more space. We're here for 3, 2, last one, lift and hold, relax it back down. Good, hands can come onto the mat beside us. We're gonna lift both legs up in our reverse tabletop position. Again, keeping that core in check. We're gonna start with our single heel drops. So left heel comes down, we're keeping that bend in our knee, we're tapping that heel, and then we're lifting back up. So it's the bottom half of a dead bug is what this movement looks like. This is layer 1. If this feels good, feel free to stay here. If you're looking to add a little bit more of a challenge, we can go straight into our single heel drop. So both legs move together, keeping that same bend, heels come down, tap, lift straight back up, knees over hips. Good. Again, reset if you need to at any point if we're starting to feel our low back peel off the ground. Dropping those heels, give it a gentle tap before squeezing through the core, lifting up through those knees. We've got 3, 2, 1. Good. We're going to keep the right leg up. Left leg can go down onto the ground in that same bent knee position. Heel is close to your bum. Hands are going to go on the back of the head. We're going to go into just a single-sided rotation here. So as we lift through our head, neck, and shoulders, I want you to try and peel that left shoulder blade off of the ground, bringing that left elbow up to find that right knee, and then completely relax it back down. So right knee isn't moving. Right knee is staying stacked over top of that left hip if we can. We want that whole torso to lift and rotate every time that we're peeling off the ground. If this feels good, stay here. We're going to add a little pause if you'd like to in 3, 2. We're going to freeze at the top if we can, gluing our elbow to our knee. Option to stay here for this hold. Option 2, you can do a little bit of a heel slide. So leg fully extends, heel goes flat, and then drag the heel back in. We've got 4. We're still pushing into that knee with the elbow. 3, 2, 1. Drag it in, unglue your leg, lay everything back down. Good. So from here, we're going to go into our glute bridge series. So bringing your heels up towards your bum, setting up for a glute bridge. Core is in the same position. So engaging that core, drive through the whole foot. Hands can be on the ground for support. We're going to lift our hips up towards the sky. When we get to the top, think about knees driving out just ever so slightly so we're not letting them cave in. And then gently unroll your hips back down to the ground. Lift and squeeze at the top. Control it back down. We're trying to lift a little higher every time that we get to the top. 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to hold at the top. So once we're up here, this is where we're going to pulse from. So from here, we're going to lift an inch. So lifting the hips a little higher and then letting them drop back down only an inch. Staying high the whole time, that small lift and lower pulse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top. We're going to squeeze here. So lifting as high as you can. Last squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping it back down. Good. We're going to keep our right leg planted. We're going to lift up our left leg into this kind of single leg reverse tabletop. We're going to push through your right hip. So our right hip is doing all the work right now. And then drop it back down. Try and keep that left leg lifted if we can, but taking that rest in between. So we lift on the right side, drop through the right side. Feel free to bring your heel a little bit closer to you if you're feeling like you're not getting your full height. We're lifting and squeezing right side. Control that movement back down. Option, you can just stick with this. Option 2, we're going to add a little bit longer of a pause at the top. So we're going to lift, we pause, drop that left heel like our single heel drop we just did. Lift it back up and then rest that right hip. Good. Lift, drop the heel, lift the heel, right side drop. Nice and slow as we control this movement. We're just increasing the time under tension of that right hip by giving us a little bit more of a pause. 3, 2, 1. Good. Everything drops back down. We're going to reset up for the very top of our core block. So we're going back into those little curls. So bring both feet in. Heels are kind of near your bum. Hands go on the back of the head, setting up your core. Lifting, exhaling. Look through your legs. Relax your head back down. Lift and squeeze. Control it down. Good. We're here for 5 more. Nice and gentle on the back of your head with those hands. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Everything drops down. We're going into those heel drops. Option if you like that single leg heel drop or the double. You can go straight into that if you want. If we're going single, we're alternating between left and right. If we're going double, both legs fall at the same time. Tap of the heels, lifting back up. Good, nice job. Controlling those legs on the way down. Don't let them drop. We want to make it a nice gentle tap before squeezing through our core to bring those knees back up in line with our hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left leg stays up this time. Right leg drops for that supported position. Hands go to the back of the head into that single-sided twist. We're lifting and rotating up towards our left-hand side. Right elbow is finding that knee if we can. And then drop it back down. Lift and rotate. Tap it back down. Exhaling as we're rotating, looking on the outside of that left knee. 4, 3, 2, we could add in that little freeze option. 1, we can glue our elbow to our knee. Option to stay here. Next option, you can go into those heel slides for 5. So full extension of that knee, drag the heel back in. 4, 3, driving your elbow into the knee still. 2, hold it there. 1. Good. We'll let everything relax to the ground, going into set number 2 of our glute bridges. So setting up both feet close to the hips, hands go on the ground for support. We're going to turn our toes out this time. So we're going to rotate those toes out to the side, and then we're going to lift from here. So setting up the core, hips are strong, lifting, squeeze at the top, driving those knees out a little bit, and then controlling the hips back down. Lift and squeeze, control it down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring the toes back to neutral. We're going to pop up onto our heels this time. So bring them in a little bit closer to you. From here, we're lifting again with our 2 feet before we get into our single leg. Tap it back down. Heels only, toes are lifted. Good. We're going to add our pulses in at the top of this one. And 4, 3, 2, keep those toes up. Meet me at the top, last one. So we're going to add our pulses in here. Toes are lifted. We're dropping an inch and lifting an inch. So this is where we pulse. Drive those heels into the ground. Hips are moving slowly and not a very big distance between our drop and our lift. 4, 3, 2, meet me at the top. This is our hold. Lifting a little bit higher, squeezing through those glutes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Hips come down, toes can drop. We're going to step onto our left foot. Right leg is going to lift into reverse tabletop, pushing up with our left side. All the way up, full foot is planted on the ground, dropping through that left side. Lifting all the way up with our left glute. Control it back down. Again, readjust your foot distance from your hips. You need to move them a little bit further away, or you can bring it a little closer, depending on what feels good. Option to get into those heel drops. When we lift, we're going to add that hold at the top. Right heel comes down, lifts back up, hip comes down. So you still get that little break in between. Trying to keep that left hip high every time that we drop that right heel. We want to have a nice stable base. We're not letting our hips shift from side to side too much. 3, 2, 1. Good. Drop everything back down. Grab your drinks if you'd like to right now. We're going to get up to standing. Okay, once we're up to our standing position, we've got a couple squats that we're going to move through. So starting with our narrow stance squat. So if you're going to be just closer than hip width apart, we're going to shift our hips down and back almost into a hinge position. We're not going to get down to full depth. And then we're going to stand it up through squeezing the hips at the top to bring them back into extension. Squeeze at the top. If this feels good, option, you can stay here. If you want to add a layer, We're going to get our hands involved. So hands can come out to our quads. As we set our hips down, we want to fully straighten those arms and think about getting our biceps up to our ears. Bring them back up to our legs. Hips go down, arms lift. Stand it back up. Good. Every time that we drop those hips down, think about pushing your knees out to the side a little bit. Again, just avoiding them caving in towards your midline. 4, 3, 2. We're going to take a pause at the bottom position on this next one. We're going to hold here. Hips are strong, our arms are moving. So arms come back down to our side. Lift straight back up. 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to keep our hands high this time. Hold the hands up. We're going to pulse with our hips. So up an inch, down an inch. Keep those shoulders working, biceps in line with your ears. 4, 3, 2. Hold it here. Last squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2. Stand it up. Good. Into more of a sumo position so feet can come towards the edges of our mat. You can turn your toes out slightly as well. Hands are going to go into the back of the head. Regular depth squat, whatever feels good for you. Dropping the hips down, back, chest stays lifted. Arms are on the back of the head or at least somewhere near that to help keep our chest as upright as possible. So find a comfortable depth for you. Sink those hips down and then stand all the way back up. Good. We have 6 more here. 5, 4, 3 more. We're going to add in some heel lifts. 2. Last full rep. Good. We're going to all drop back down. Hips go down and back. I want you to come up onto your right toes. Right heel lifts. Drop the right heel. Left heel lifts. Drop the heel. Stand it back up. Same thing. Hips drop. Lift. Lift. Stand it up. So move at your own pace here. Find some stability through the foot that's lifting. We've got 3 more of these. 3, 2. Stay at the bottom for this one. We're not lifting yet. We're only lifting these heels. Hips stay low. This is our first pulse here. So back and forth, lift those heels. Get those calves working. 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the hips where they are. Feet are flat and we're pulsing here with our hips. So we lift, lower. 4, 3, 2, hold for 5. Squeeze and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand it up. Good. Shake out the legs a little bit. Coming a bit more to the front of our mat. We're going into reverse lunges. So left leg plants first. Hands can just go onto your hips or wherever's comfortable for you. Right leg steps back. Dropping that knee down. If we can tap the ground, great. If not, find a depth that works for you. Step it back in. Nice job. Try and keep those shoulders back. If we're kind of rolling forward as we're dropping into that lunge, so think about dropping your shoulder blades towards your back pockets. 4, 3, we are going to pulse. 2, on this next one, stay at the bottom. We have a little pulse here, a little up, down, not a big movement. 4, 3, 2, hold here. 3, 2, 1. Good. Stand it up. Grab a drink of water if you need to. We're going to go back to the squats from the very beginning. So setting up for those squats again, narrow squat to start. Feet are just under our hips or just a little bit closer even. Hips are going down and back. We're staying a little bit higher than a regular squat. Option to not have the hands involved, or you can go straight into those double arm lifts as we sink the hips down. Whatever feels good. Good job. Think about squeezing through those shoulders to get them high. 4, 3, 2, hold at the bottom. Here's our arm movement only. So hips are staying where they are. Drop the hands, lift them back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, keep the arms where they are lifted, hips stay here. We're pulsing with the hips, up and down. Slow. 4, 3, 2, hold it here, squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, stand it up. Good. Straight into our sumo position. Feet come towards the edges of the mat. We're going to turn those feet out if we can. And again, hands go on the back of the head if we're able to. Dropping the hips down. Stand it back up, not into those heel lifts yet. Good work, guys. 4, 3, 2, 1. When we go back down, get into those heel lifts. Left heel raises, down. Right raise, down. Stand it up. We get that little break in between where we get to stand up. Heel, heel, stand it up. 3, 2. Last one, we're going to stay at the bottom for longer. We're just doing the heel raises. This is our first pulse. Lift, lift. 3, 2, 1. Feet go flat. We pulse our hips. Up, down. 4, 3, 2. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Stand it up. Good. Shake the legs out. Back to the top of our mat. Last set of lunges. Last working set. Right foot plants. Hands go on the side of the hips. Left leg steps it back. Again, finding whatever depth works for you. Tapping if we can before stepping it back in. Good. Trying to keep that front knee in the same direction as those toes. Back knee is either tapping or coming down to your comfortable spot. Good. 4, 3, 2. Stay at the bottom. Add that little pulse. Up, down. 4, 3, 2. Hold here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Stand it up. Good job. Shake the legs out. Grab a drink. We're going to meet back on the ground. We've got one more block. We're going to finish off. We're going to start with some push-ups. And we're going to do the yogi push-ups so we can break it up in between. If we're going from our knees, you can start with your knees stacked underneath your hips. Walk your hands out and then shift your weight forward. So I want you to think about when you shift your weight, tucking the hips underneath so it's in line with our torso. You can curl the toes or have them flat. We're going to keep our elbows in towards our side. And we're going to drop our chest down as low as we can before pushing up, and then take that rest. Send the hands back, stretching through sides of our body, and then pushing forward. Same thing if we're from our toes. Chest goes down, lift, but keep it active. Send the hips back. So we're here for 5 of whatever variation you choose. Chest comes down, lift, hips go back. Good. We have 4, 3, last 2, last 1. Good. We're going to come down to laying on our stomach. Hands are going to go out in front of us. Try and relax those toes. You can rest your head on the mat if that's more comfortable. I'm going to keep my head up so I can speak. Hands are going to go out in front of us. We're going to keep our palms facing down. We're going to get into our W rows. So when we row our elbows in towards our side, I want you to try and lift your chest at the same time. When you extend your arms, I want you to let your chest fall towards the ground. So we're lifting and squeezing through the sides of our body, and then fully extend, reach those arms away. Pull in, squeeze those shoulder blades, extend out. 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to hold on the next one. Lift, squeeze, hold here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Arms come down. We're going to set for a low plank position. So arms are going to come in front of us, elbows in line with our body. We're going to tuck our toes underneath. So option to do a single supported lift, or you can do 2 at the same time. So we're going into our knee lifts. So single, we're lifting one knee to fully extend in that little supported low plank position. Option 2, we're lifting both knees into that full low plank before tapping down. So we're here for 8 of whatever variation. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Push onto your knees. We're going to send our hips back, reaching away in front of us, trying to lengthen through sides of our body. We have one more round, starting with those push-ups. So when you're ready, find your starting position, whether it's from your knees or from your toes. If we're on our knees, we're walking those hands out, shifting our weight forward. So we can tuck that tailbone so we're one nice straight line. Chest goes down. We're here for 5. Send the hips back for that little yogi break. 4, 3, trying to keep those elbows in towards our body, not letting them flare if we're able to. 2, last 1. Hips all the way back. Good. Straight onto our stomach into those rows. We've done this before. We know what it feels like. Arms go out. We lift and squeeze. Fully extend. Option to leave your chest on the ground if that's a little easier for you. But if not, challenge and try and lift up through your chest every time. Good. We're here for 4, 3, squeezing through our shoulder blades. 2. Next one, we hold here. Squeeze, hold it in. 5, 4, 3, 2. Drop it down. Last low plank. So if you did the single leg, you're doing the opposite side. If you're doing double, you're going straight into the double. We're for 8, 7, keeping that core working. 6, tuck the tailbone underneath. 5, 4, 3, 2, last low plank. Good. Send the hips back. Get into a little bit of a cool down. Lengthen through the arms. Rest your head on the mat. Good. We're going to walk our hands over to the left side of our mat. So trying to stretch through the right side of our body. Good. Walking to the other side. Hands to the right side, stretching through the left side of our body. Cue back into your breath. Good. Walk the hands up. We're going to swing around onto our back. Bring both knees into our chest. Nice little double knee hug. You can rock around side to side, feeling the mat rub against your low back. Good. Let that left leg go long. Right leg stays in towards our chest. We're going to use our hands. We're going to bring our right knee across the left side of our body. Get into a nice gentle twist. Stretching through the right side glute. Support your knee with your hand if you need to. You can let it drop to the ground if you're able. Good. Up your knee back up. We're going to open it to the other side. So cradle your right knee with the outside of your hand. Open up through the front of that hip. Good. Bring it back up through center. Slide that left leg in. Set it for a figure four. So right leg crosses over our left leg. Hands go through, grabbing onto our left leg. Bring it in towards us. Good. Let everything drop. We're going to bring our left leg in towards our chest. Right leg is going to go nice and long. From here, we're going to bring that left leg across our body into a right-sided twist. Stretching through our left hips. Again, support the hand where you need to. Rest it on the ground if you have the space. Good. Help it back up through center. Open up so the left hand cradles left leg. Opening up through the front of that hip. Let it drop if you can. Good. Back up through center. Figure four, right side comes in. Cross over and reach. Trying to keep the legs relaxed and doing all of the movement with the arms. Good. Now is a good time if you have any other stretches you'd like to complete before finishing. If not, grab a drink. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully you enjoyed.